Welcome to Jobs for National's first webinar of 2025 and the second in Reducing Turnover with UAE National Talent series. Now, according to the Ministry of HR and Emiratisation, companies are still required to achieve a 2% annual increase in the number of Emirati employees in skilled positions. And for companies with 20 to 49 employees in 2025, they must employ at least 2 Emirati nationals. In this light, we must also consider the expectations of the newest generation in the job market, the Generation Alpha, which encompasses individuals born after 2010. This generation has grown up fully immersed in technology, with smartphones, tablets, and other digital devices being integral to their daily lives. As a result, Generation Alpha has a distinct expectation when entering the workforce, particularly regarding their online job application experience and overall user experience. In this session, our goal is to explore whether talent retention strategies differ across various industries. This will be an open roundtable discussion where we encourage everyone to participate. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our multi-industry panelists and would like to request each member to introduce themselves by stating their name and the industry they're representing in this discussion. So please, Dr. Tehani, can you please start with your introduction and then we can do the roundtable.
So, my name is Dr. Tahani Al-Qadri. I am the Group Director for Academic and Emiratisation at Burjeel Holding. I am assigned to oversee Emiratisation for all Burjeel units. So we are around 126 entities under one company. We have around more than 1,200 employee UAE national across all Emirates, in Abu Dhabi, in Al Ain, Dubai, Sharjah, and Northern Emirates. We are finding it challenging. That's why we are here today with you. Maybe you can learn from our experience and also we can learn from your challenges. Worth mentioning that I used previously to work at Department of Health for the past 20 years. I used to be the General Director of Medical Education, and I used to work also in the workforce planning. Happy to be part of this workshop. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you. Kavita, could you go ahead, please?
Sure. My name is Kavita Jaychandani. I'm working in UAE for more than 20 years now. I've worked with GEMS Education for around 11 years, and now I'm in this company, which is Aramis Partners. They are into the acquiring business of the schools, and I'm working with them for around 6 years now. I've worked at various levels on HR, and of course, HR has never been so challenging since last 2 years, since the Emiratization route has come in. But yeah, we all face challenges, but I do see that there's a lot of potential in the market as well. So yeah, it's a good opportunity for all of us to learn from each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Fiza, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. My name is Fiza Sabir, and I have been living in Dubai almost 18 years. I came here only for 6 months, and here I am still. I work for DNV, 11 years. I'm with the same company. And DNV is a global classification society. We are a Norwegian brand, and we've been in the UAE close to 47 years. So we have a really good footprint in the region as well as in the UAE. So we classify and build ships. We are in energy services, whether that's your renewable energy, battery storage. We also in healthcare, cybersecurity, inspection, testing, ISO certification, and product assurance. So it's quite a diverse business areas in DNV, and I head Middle East and Africa within the HR advisory. And Emiratization was always I always say my baby. You know, we started since 2017 with little steps, small steps, learning from others, trying to figure out, but we have come a long way. So a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Dr. Florence, please. Dr. Florence, I think your mic could be on mute. Okay, having some technical issues. I don't on. Okay, we will go to Geeta. Geeta, if you could please introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yep.
Great. So, indeed, very happy to be meeting this esteemed panel. And Danish, we have spoken earlier. So, by way of introduction, I would say my name is Geeta Sunil Kumar. I'm the senior HR business partner for Mott MacDonald, the company. It is not McDonald, it is Mott MacDonald. I just want to reinforce that, because many of times I keep asking, get questions. Oh, you're working with McDonald's. It's not McDonald's. We are Mott MacDonald. We are an international engineering consultant involved in large infrastructure projects. Something which you all will be familiar with is small of the Emirates, RTA stations. So all of those kind of our projects in which we have been involved, Aldar, Banias North in Abu Dhabi. So all of that. We are a global presence company, a multinational organization operating in more than 150 different countries. In the Middle East, we are operational in 6 countries. And of course, as I said, it's a large operation, but not in terms of scale, but not in terms of number of people. I would say we are in the UAE around 400 people, and across the Middle East, 700 plus. So that's the kind of staff strength if you want to look at it. But as you might imagine, our workforce is mainly highly skilled professionals at the high level of engineering background, environmental, transport, you name it. I think all the consultancy services we have our involvement in all of these projects in terms of transformation of countries and infrastructure. So that's where our forte is. I personally have been in the HR business in the UAE for the past 20 odd years. Worked with various multinationals in different industries. Began with Cathay Pacific, moved on to Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, and now for the last 7 to 8 years with the Mott MacDonald. So indeed very happy to be part of this panel. And as very rightly mentioned by Kavita, the last 2 years has been a learning curve for the entire industry, I believe, in terms of understanding how to manage emiratization. While that is a strategic goal, understanding and keeping pace with the new generation coming into the business, both the nationals as well as the non-nationals, is something which is an ever-evolving discussion. So yes, indeed happy to be sharing my thoughts and hearing from this esteemed panel in terms of what can we jointly achieve better and learn from each other.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Florence, I'll just touch base with you once again. Is your mic working? I think she's still facing an issue. Okay, no worries. So we'll wait for Dr. Florence to fix this and she can join the conversation. So without further ado, let's start with the first question, which is a relatively simple question. So what are some of the common challenges you face in retaining UAE national talent, and how do you address them? It goes out to the panel, so anybody is welcome to join.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Kavita. No problem.
I mean, honestly, I was thinking, when I was reading this question, I think the first question should be probably that what are the challenges we are facing in recruiting the Emirati talents? Because finding an Emirati talent itself is a very challenging, had been very challenging for the HR professionals, if everyone agrees with me. So if you don't mind, I would like to hear everybody's thoughts on that rather first, and then can we go on the retention part, because for me a challenging part had been to find for the right. So basically what approach we have taken is we, instead of taking a top-down approach, we have taken a bottom-up approach in the recruitments basically. So instead of having a job description in place and having a set profile in place and set qualifications in place, it's very challenging to find that Emirati talent in the role. So what we have started doing is we have started to look for the right skill set where people actually want to work. And then we have taken the down bottom up approach, see what their skills are and how we can fit them in our gaps. So this is the approach we have taken, and which has worked very well. However, as the time is passing, it's very, very challenging to find the right people in the industry or right people in the market now.
So Kavita, we have another webinar. Sorry to interrupt you. We have another discussion, panel discussion, which is more related to talent attraction. And I think we're going to do a session on that by next month. We'll publish that and
okay.
Yes.
Sorry, Danish, then.
No, that's no worries at all. And that session, we focus on talent attraction, we focus on recruitment and branding and all of the things related to attracting Emirati talent. So I will send you the invite for that.
Great to know. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, in this webinar, we mainly focus on attrition. We want mainly focus on how to reduce the turnover of UAE National Talent. So, I mean, Kavita, you do have Emiratis working in your organization.
Yeah, we have at the moment, we have 15 Emirati nationals working with us. And they're working at various levels.
Okay.
Yeah, they're working within the organization. They're working at various levels. And of course, the biggest challenge we had a very high turnover of the Emiratis. Of course, we still have the high turnover of Emiratis. And mainly because we are in the education sector, Ministry of Education schools, because of their pay scales, they actually take our Emirati nationals. So they work with us like for 2 years and we train them, we get them to the good levels of the teaching. And then we find that Ministry of Education just hires them right away. So this is the biggest challenge we face. Apart from that, we have seen the other industries also approaching and poaching our Emirati nationals very regularly. So these are the two things, of course, we have found that, and to retain them, we have to have a different strategies in place.
What are some of the things that you've done so far?
Many things, actually. We have set up some training sessions. We have created a different pay scale for the Emiratis. So we do not follow the same pay scale which we follow for our normal staff members. Even their rewards and recognition is done a little differently because, again, we all know that Emirati population is a scarce population. They're very less in the market. So knowing that demographics, we have kind of looked at other different strategies. And what we have done is, what we do generally is we hire the Emiratis which are freshly graduate. So there's more probability of them retaining in with us for at least for 3 to 4 years. They stay with us, so we train them. We are training our leaders also on how to deal with Emiratis and ensure they are getting proper support. And honestly, I have seen wonderful Emiratis working with us. We have some teachers and we have got wonderful report from the parents that these teachers are the very good teachers, and even the KHT has given them good ratings. So I think working with the leaders and working with the population together, training them and approaching the right people has been the key for us. And there was one big thing what we do is whenever we hire Emirati nationals, we always make sure that we set our expectations with them from the beginning. So we always give them that this is the school hours, this is how you have to work, and these are the things you have to manage, because that's the one big challenge we all face, with the Emirati nationals. So once they agree to those expectations, it becomes easier for us to then train them and get them to the right level. So as per our expectations.
Okay, thank you.
If you allow me,
yes, please.
If you allow me just to shadow her concern. you look to the root of initiating of this Tawteen initiatives, I was involved since the beginning. So it started back in 2013, where there was big push from the government to start recruiting unemployed Emirati, especially in the remote area like Al Ain, like Al Dhafra, and some remote area in Dubai and Northern Emirates. And it was not working, and there was no enough vacancies in the government sector, because in the government sector they are looking for a certain caliber of individual who can join this entity. So in 2022, the Emiratization project was launched under the support of Sheikh Mansour. So it was really harsh. They have to get things done because it was postponed since 2013 with no achievement outcome. So a decree was issued that it need to be enforced. Whether you like it or not, there we will try and we will look later on what is the outcome. Back in 2018, the statistics of Emirati was less in private sector was less than 2% of the workforce, with total headcount is less than 7,000. In 2024, the latest statistics show that the total number of Emirati workforce in the private sector reached 131,000. So it is more than what they are planning for. So the target was to achieve 100,000 Emirati in the private sector. They achieved above the target. So what is the consequences of this, or what is the challenges? They look to percentage only. They did not enforce Emiratization the way it should be. So I think my personal perspective, Emirati should be recruited in a facility that will give them leverage to learn. So putting an Emirati in a small entities with a headcount of 50, they will not learn much. If you, for example, put it in an organization that is, for example, 200, 500 headcount, I think there will be a diversity of individual who can teach this Emirati, considering that 80 or 90% of the workforce in the private sector, the Emirati workforce, are either fresh grad or high school graduate. We ended up, as you just said, we are recruiting individuals who don't have the knowledge, they don't have the certificate for us to fill the gap only. So it is only numbers, it is only quantity, not quality. And this impacted so many industry, and we raised so many concerns. Example, Virgin Holding, we raised concern to the higher level. Yes, we are supporting Emirati and we are hiring Emirati on the C level, but also we are finding very challenging to fill the number that you are putting based on the head count. So we are a huge entity. We are around 13,000 individuals. If you want me to recruit these 13,000, I cannot recruit all of them in managerial level or C level. So we have to look to the junior level, because when we look to the market, there is no Emirati national to be recruited. Look to the statistics. The total number of the workforce in the Emirati population is less than 2%. So from these 2%, everybody are fighting on this limited pool. So that create, I think, immaturity in the Emirati national. So if they did not like us, they will submit their resignation, and tomorrow they are with you. After tomorrow they are with the visa. Later on they are with Gita, because they know that everybody will recruit them to avoid penalties. Where in fact, if you put a mechanism where this individual have to serve at least 6 to 1 year in this entity for him to move to another entity. That was my recommendation to Ministry of Human Resources and also to NAFIS. I told them, guys, look, we don't mind hiring UAE National, and I am a UAE National. I work for the government for more than 20 years. Implementation of Emiratization have, yes, negative and positive. But let this individual stay with us for a certain period of time before he jump to another entity. That's not practical for us. So 50% of our FTE are wasted only for hiring and clearing people. Today he's with us. Some people, they reach to a stage in they will sign the offer, and on the date of joining, they will not show. They will say, no, I find a better opportunity, I'm not coming.
I think I echo the thoughts of Dr. Tahini and Kavita here. I think the biggest challenge which we as a multinational organization have been facing has been with regards to the allure of the government sector for all the Emirati nationals in the first place. So I think, and as rightly said, when we look for opportunities, when we reach out for people to meet, obviously there is the compulsion of us to be meeting the numbers as dictated by the governmental, that you need to have this much. So as a company, from a strategic direction, we are forced to either recruit that many people or pay the fines. We are not interested in, so now it is becoming, and I'm sure that's the experience with all companies, it's more of a checkbox exercise. Ensure you have the numbers. So that's what everybody is doing. And the easiest way to get it, taking into consideration the salary scales that are demanded at the higher levels, it is always the graduate or the fresh graduates whom we are getting it in. And there, they have a more negotiation power than we as a company, because there is internal competition between companies. You come here, you come here. So there is a push and pull kind of an effect happening, because each company is dedicated to getting their numbers, and the Emirati nationals also understand that they are in that strong position of strength. And in adding to that is the bigger concern that they themselves as individuals prefer the government sector, working in the government sector as opposed to in the private sector, mainly because of the various facilities which are available, our working hours arrangements, and the holiday arrangements. The practical side is that. So they want to move to the government sector, whereas the private is not really. From a governmental side, I can understand the challenge. Not all Emirati workforce can be accommodated in the government sector, and hence the private sector needs to do the partnership. But clearly, this is one of the big challenges which both Kavita and Tahini have confirmed over here. But another challenge which I feel I'm expressing it out here is the piece of employee engagement, which I am finding. So ours is a multicultural organization, different nationalities. So we do not do a kind of a VIP arrangement for someone who is an we expect the people to be embedded into the company culture, like any other organization, like any other team that is there. And what we find, and that has been our biggest challenge, is they tend to be with their birds of a feather flock together kind of thing. They tend not to mingle with the other cultures or other people. They tend to be within themselves, which kind of does not really help in the engagement, employee engagement piece and building the company culture. So while we are launching various initiatives, this is also a segment where we find that the Emirati nationals do not mingle as easily with the other cultural people, which sometimes can be a difficult combination, especially if you're working on collaborative projects across geographies and across different people of different cultures. So that's one additional challenge which we as a company have been facing.
Very well said, actually, Geeta. That's actually, very true in our side as well, because the teachers, when they're working and they're not mingling with their co-teachers, it becomes very challenging to give them the expectations, with the thing. And the other thing, as you said, it's not only the companies around, actually, we are facing the challenges, as you said, it is with the government entities as well. So government entities also, once they find that our candidates, we have trained them well and we have grown them well, government entities actually pull them from themselves. So this is like, we are being used as a training company for the government company. This is how actually, the feeling is.
I disagree with you, Kavita, and I tell you why. I was under the same impression some time ago, thinking they come along, we train them, we put so much effort into training and developing them, and then ADNOC takes them, and then Diva takes them, or Advia. I'm talking within my industry as well. But then I have been chatting to various officials from the government as well as the private sector. Actually, if you have trained a UAE national that is competent enough to work for, the health sector or, education sector within the government, actually, it's, the praise is on you. That's how I see it. We cannot stop it, and we will not be able to stop them, poaching our, personnel, our Emiratis after training them and etc. Just, from our end, just let them go. We've trained them. This is the cycle. This is a never-ending cycle. I know it takes a lot of effort, time, and money in training, investing, but there is nothing I can do. So I decide to just be there, train them, and if they decide to leave, let it be. But if I can keep them, And I am working on various, initiatives within the company in terms of integrating them into our culture, putting them into cross collaboration and the projects, not only in the UAE, but we are a global company. We have cross collaboration projects. So they're part of those type of projects. I had, for instance, last year, I had the first Emirati in our company attending Next Generation Summit in Oslo, where we have 200 employees from all over the world. These are the younger generation employees. They come, they pitch the business idea to the CEO. So I had my first Emirati last year joining for 3 days summit to stand in front of C-level executives to pitch the business ideas. So as I see it, yes, we are tapping into the same talent pool of Emiratis, and this is very small, but it is what it is. We just need to manage it and just do our best. So when they leave the organization, there's always room to return. That's what I need to make sure.
So I think we've covered a little bit of the initiatives side and a discussion on training and development, and looking at time, we won't dive into the very specifics, but let's talk about another area that we find facing challenges with, which is the compensation side, right? So how do you ensure that your compensation packages are competitive and aligned with the industry standards to retain top talent? I mean, because this is always a challenge where you might have a compensation that is different for Emiratis and different for non-Emirati workforce. So how do you guys manage the compensation side of business?
So I'll go first, and for us, we do not. I mean, as I said, as a company, we do not have any kind of special compensation because a person is an Emirati. For us, it is the position, the role, what is the level at which they're coming in that really differentiates, and that's something which is globally as a business. We do not do any differentiation for what is the background of an individual. So based on that, and that's probably most of the graduates which we have hired are at the graduate level. So they come at as you said, it's the lower level of the organization and then progressing higher up. And I must say, and it's not something specific in terms of Emiratis, for everybody, for retention of talent of anybody within the organization, we have an annual salary review exercise which is conducted, and that is done across the board in terms of making sure that our salaries are market facing, are in line with salary benchmarks in the market. And we look at replacement cost. Exactly. If tomorrow Geeta is to leave the business, what will be the cost of her replacement? So it's as simple a question as that. So that really clearly drives the decision about what is the salary benchmark. And I always say when I'm talking to my business, you are worth more in the external market than you are internally. So that's how generally every organization operates. So there will be no direct apples to apples kind of match, you would definitely be within a pay range. So we try to be at the 75th percentile of that particular pay range so that people feel adequately. And again, a particular grade, again, a band of salary, you would be managed. In addition to salary, we always sell ourselves as a lot of learning and development, especially for the Emirati graduates. What we have launched is lead programs, wherein they are encouraged to take on various charterships, professional accreditations, etc., which will progress their educational qualifications and reach higher, professional calibers. So that is something which is there. We have mentorship programs which we are initiated with for young graduates, and that's again irrespective of whether they are an Emirati or any other national. It is a mentorship program. Again, these are global mentorship programs. So we have an emerging leaders program, which is again irrespective of whether it's an Emirati or anybody else. Emerging leaders, it's kind of training people who show leadership potential to be reaching the next level of management in the organization. So people at the starting graders are kind of trained through a 18-month program where they have involved interactions with very senior members. So we are in a manner creating succession planning within the organization. So who will be the next leader for this particular position? So that kind of things are very much there as not just compensation focused only. It is about overall development. And as Fiza mentioned, there's no way you can hold back anybody from leaving the organization, but we do something to kind of ensure we are retaining and trying to engage the talent within our organization.
Can you also explain like how, because it's really it seems like you guys are doing a lot with all of this. Can you tell me, do you do any other special arrangements for your Emirati employees, or they are on the similar, the requirements for them to be on that level is similar and everything else is similar, or is it different, or even the timings or any other things?
Yeah, so let's look at the timing part of it, because I'm sure that's one of the challenges which most organizations. So we as a company are a completely agile organization. As you can see today, I am working from home. So we have the agile work policy, which means colleagues can take up to 3 days. You are required to come in 3 days to office. The remainder is your flexibility. Again, it is not a mandated thing. As I said, most of our workforce is highly skilled professionals. So they are here to deliver certain projects. They are subject matter experts depending upon the level of the proficiency. So we do not have any kind of, to be honest, kind of clocking in, clocking out and all of those kind of things where people manage that. But the line manager is responsible to ensure and confirm that the deliverables are met and the requirements of the job are met. So there is a high level of flexibility and a high level of ownership with the individual in terms of how they are managing it. This is a very big attracting factor for the nationals coming in, because they find that as a very big USP which working with our organization. So this is, again, as I said, none of our programs are specific for Emiratis and another for. It is something which is applicable across the board to every employee. So that's one of the things. And I mentioned about the other program, which is LEAD. LEAD means it's something which is giving them a step before the emerging leader program. So that's where you give them a lot of, someone joining as a graduate, they might have lot of rough edges. While they might have technical qualifications, they might have the scholastic qualifications, practical world experience and how to put in that knowledge into practicals can be very different. So the LEAD program is all about smoothing out those rough edges and seeing the potential. So most of the graduates would come in at a grade B, and then within probably 6 months to a year, because there are many success stories in our organization where in spite of this, I would still say there are really some really talented people out there who are doing an exceptional job and who are retained with the company. So the programs are all there within the organization. We still need to do more, because the challenges are still outnumbering the wins, I would say.
If you allow me just to add to what you were just saying, us from healthcare provider, so we need the physical attendance of individual. We don't have the leverage of work from home or whatever, and also your physical presence is very important, and it will impact your colleague. For example, if I have a nurse who's a UAE national who decided today to be on a sick leave or not show off, this will impact the whole team. Absolutely. And somebody have to cover her. So this is challenging for us, because we came to know that since they are fresh graduate, they don't have that commitment to work. So it's very challenging in terms of maintaining the working hours. Besides that, when we try to look to the admin position, which is people who are in the front line or the reception or whatever, for them to cover the minimum working hours, it was really challenging, because expat, they are working 6 hours, and UAE national, they were demanding them to work 5 hours. So we came with an internal review where we try to adjust the working hours and be fair with everyone. So we put it by choice. If you want to work 5 days, then you have to add 1.5 hour to your daily shift in order to take 2 days off. And it worked nice. So, but to be fair, because we are also a global company, we give this option to non-Emirati. So if you are also a non-Emirati and you want to have 2 days off, you have to cover this 1.5 hour a day for you to have the 2 days off. So this is one of the success strategy that we did to reduce turnover. One of the other strategies that we are also implementing, and it was successful, when we do a benchmarking regarding the pay scale in Burj Holding, we came to know that we are lower comparing to other competitors, for example, NMC or whatever. So we raised the recommendation that our minimum pay scale should be between 2. And it was really acknowledged by the management, and it was implemented, and it was really successful. If we come to the government regulation, recently, I'm not sure if you are HR, if you are aware about it, they put a regulation on the system for you to register any individual in the pension. If they are Emirati national, it should not be less than 5,000. This was declared January 2025.
Yeah.
So some of the organization, the small organization, I mean the organization that is with budget limitation or whatever, and if they are planning to hire UAE national, they cannot hire UAE national if their salary is below 5,000, because there's some of our organization that's under Burj Holding. We used to hire Emirati with a salary of, like, for example, 3,000 or 4,000, and this will also create a burden because it was announced late and already the budget was closed and already submitted for approval. So this is also one of the regulation that is already in place without prior confirmation from the employer. So if they are planning this, I would appreciate if they reach to us ahead of time when the budget are in the planning phase, telling us starting from January this will be implemented, as for us to prepare ourselves. So a clear communication is required from the government, by the way, because some of the global company, they cannot have two different scale. Yes, we are receiving, for example, support from NAFIS, but we are not authorized to talk about this support. It is given by the government to these individual. So we are building our internal pay scale and internal compensation that will help us to be fair with everyone. In terms of training, we launched so many training programs with our collaboration with the government entity, because some of the UAE national can be covered for training free of charge if they are still fresh graduate. Like, for example, Abu Dhabi Global Academy, they are providing us soft skill training free of charge, and that was really successful. And also we launched our own succession program, which is also similar, I think, to your program, Gita, 12 and 18 month training program where they will show you different mentor. Later on, they will decide in which direction they can be going. My challenge as a healthcare provider is attracting UAE national who are really from a health background. If you come to the statistics and you come to the people in ground, so many facilities are left with zero UAE national, because there is also different regulation from the regulatory authority. Here in Abu Dhabi, we have regulation from Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of Tawteen, and also we have a regulation from Department of Health. So you have to meet a target of Mohri, and they have to meet a target of DUH. Example, if I have 100 clinical workforce, I have to hire one Emirati who is a physician or a nurse, and this is impossible to meet in real life. So we raise also a concern that before you put a regulation, please have a hearing session with us as a lawyer, but it was not, done the correct way. So this is also one of the challenges that we are facing. Once you are imposing a regulation, you have to look at it is doable or non-doable. This is one of the challenges that I'm facing currently, the Emiratization and the clinical workforce.
I think you covered it well, Dr. Tahani, because the actual presence on site, because as you know, ours is an engineering consultant. So where there is site work required, there is no option where we can say we'll work remotely. There's no way. You're an engineer, you're a site construction manager, you are a graduate, you have to be on site. And they do not want to work on site. They having engineering degree, but do not want to be on site. They would rather be in the office because it gives them the flexibility of being able to work from home. Now, again, it's a double-edged sword. I call it the working from home arrangement. It's a double-edged sword because it depends upon the maturity and ownership of the individual. And what we are facing the challenge currently is exactly as Dr. Thani mentioned. People do not want, they say, oh, we will join the company because we have the flexible working, but then I will work continuously from home. I will never come into office. I'm staying in Fujairah. I'm staying in Ras Al Khaimah. So I cannot drive 2 hours in traffic and come. So these are the common challenges. The maturity and the professionalism at that level is a big challenge to meet.
And very well said, actually, Geeta and Dr. Tahani. I mean, the similar thing is with the education industry. We have no way we can have the teachers or our staff members working from home. And neither we have it out of the working hours. So we have to have our staff working within the working hours from the school business, we cannot let them go out. And that's where we have to have to make arrangements of the flexible working hours for them, or we do part-time working hours for them to make sure that we actually match their needs, but as well as we match the business needs. But I mean, these are the challenges we also face, as you said, and we have no way we can have the remote work.
So as a group, we've got like four individuals from different here. I think the commonality is that some industries require on-premise work while others can manage with the remote work. But for industries that require on-premise work, what creative recognition and reward programs can we come up with or think of right now that might facilitate, in reducing turnover with UAE nationals? I mean, do you have any creative program?
Danish, I think I don't.
Perhaps try out.
I wouldn't support us giving an incentive for someone which is their basic requirement, honestly. Because if you look at it, even in our Abu Dhabi office, which we had, the government said you need to ensure that these people come into office. We can't have ghost people on your payroll wherein you say, oh, he's working remotely or she's working remotely. So the government itself is mandating that the person should be present in the office. Now, as a company, we have been magnanimous to say, okay, we will give you some flexibility, which I think they should take it as a big plus, that at least you have the option of saying 2 days you can work from. But as a company, I don't think I personally would support, and nor will my management support in terms of giving an incentive for just coming into what is your basic work requirement or work requirement. Means you have to be in office. So that I think is too much of a
pampering.
Exactly, the right word you use, Fiza, because it's too much of pampering for something which would be business as usual. I mean, why would I give any kind of incentive for someone to come into office on that particular day?
But now
I agree.
I read a headline.
But
Yes,
I think the best thing which has worked with us. Sorry.
For example, for us in Virgin Holding, we create a centralized Emiratization department who led by Emirati. Most of us are C-level, so we are really experienced on the regulations, connection, and we develop an internal team who will be responsible for onboarding these Emirati for them to understand what is the requirement of the private sector and how it is different than the government sector, and retention training department. The retention team, I have around 9 staff on the retention team, where they are 24/7 occupied by issue 99% of these issue either punctuality or attendance, because we are a hospital setting and I cannot decide today not to come to work. They will give counseling, they will give advice, they will try to understand if it's something related to travel time, we can move you to a different location that is near your house. Difficulty with your, for example, head of department, we can look to the issue. We are counseling 50 to 70 cases per month in terms of just the same issue, punctuality, attendance, performance. And it is not working, ya Jama'ah. It is really time consuming from this team to keep counseling these individuals, for them just to say, you are here to work, you are not here to play on the system and punch in, punch out.
Exactly.
Dr. Tahani, I have a question now for you, since you are the only UAE national representing this, roundtable. Yes, we're all facing similar challenges in terms of functionality. We're having, several conversations, coaching, counseling, addressing the performance. Okay, sometimes I just sit back and ask myself, is it, as we said, the government is imposing Emiratization and at the same time creating problems for Emiratis not to take the work seriously, because they think that, okay, if I leave this organization, someone else will give me a job. I can be late. I cannot take it this seriously. So there is a problem which is there, right? And how the government and the industry can address it, because it's just causing so much time and effort for private sector as well as other sectors to manage fundamental and basics of every employee, that when you are employed, these are your basic duties. You need to be on time, you need to be punctual, you need to perform, etc. So why it's so difficult and prevalent?
In my analysis, see, I started my job when I was 18 years old. Okay, I started as a nurse, my career as a nurse. I cannot, yes, I'm still very young, but I cannot escape my duty at that days. Okay, so if we are flexible at that days, we should be flexible these days. So the generation that is currently coming to the market, they are very rude. I'm sorry to say that, and they are not punctual. This is not the government aim from this project. So I think when you raise your concern to the higher authority, because when I'm raising my concern with evidence. So yeah, Jama'a, I am spending 50 to 70 counseling cases per month for this individual, and they are not punctual. And when I will terminate, they will raise a concern or they will raise a complaint that I terminated them. This is the evidence. So build the evidence, let it go to the higher authority, let them understand. And yes, we will be part of Emiratization, but you have to be also with us. Not they will submit the complaint and you will be the side of the UAE National. You have to come and look to the nature of our work. We are impacting our patients who are Emirati, by the way. And if my employee is rude with a patient, this patient is also Emirati. We are catering 90% of our patients are Emirati, and I cannot accept this behavior in the workplace. So my mechanism always is reporting. I'm reporting all these cases to Mohri with evidence, and I'm terminating this time, because we are also sure and aware that there is so many Emirati nationals sitting at home looking for opportunities. So, and we are always having direction from the founder, Dr. Shamsir, saying please replace with a good quality. So ensure quality. When we start just like this haphazardly. Now we have replace this income with a good quality individual who will be under, for example, probation or whatever. When the probation time is coming, please give a holistic feedback whether you will stay with this employee, or you will tell him, no, you are not meeting our requirement, we will look to another individual. But I think raising our feedback to the regulatory authority, stating that you have to work with this individual since high school to let them understand the market needs, the punctuality. They are reflecting the image of the UAE.
Country, yes.
Where is المواطنة الإيجابية, being a good citizen? Where is it?
Yeah.
And
So
you cannot.
I'm Dr. Tahini, one question. When you said escalating it to Mohri, so
Yes.
we are also the PROs. So it's not me directly, but the PRO team does escalate it to Mohri. Now I'll just give you a classic example of a case where we terminated the individual during the probation because of non-attendance, not following up with this. Now the individual needs to sign off the cancellation form, right? They need to sign off the cancellation. Now the individual just refused to sign the cancellation form, which had an knockdown effect of a fine on the company. So though we were sending the form and the individual has to sign, the individual just refused to sign. No response, no connection, nothing. So what happened? Mott McDonald had to pay a fine. So for an action which Mott has done the correct thing, what was the impact? Financially, it's a issue with. So what is our escalation matrix? Even that is not very clear to me, to be honest, at this stage.
Let me tell you. So for us, we have a compliance team who are in close connection with Mohri. See, if you are a big company, you have to have a close connection with Mohri. It is very important that you have a dedicated individual who understand the law and the regulation. There is a clear regulation in how to tackle these issues. And we have a legal team who are really committed to tackle this team. When we are cancelling any labor card, we are putting the evidence of cancellation, and we never face this issue, by the way. How many terminations we are doing per month? The number is really huge, but we are not getting any obstacles because we are in close connection with this Mohri, and evidence and reason are there behind the cancellation. I'll give you an example. If an employee will raise a complaint against you, within 5 days you have to resolve this complaint, otherwise it will be resolved on your behalf. Similar things from the company side. If you raise a complaint against the employee, Mohri have to look to this complaint within 5 working days, otherwise it will be automatically approved by the system. So I don't think it is an issue. You have only to work with your compliance team, let them understand how the system works, and put evidence in each case are putting in ground.
I think, Dr. Tani, I will take your contact details and we will have an offline conversation to kind of see how we can collaborate better on this one. Thank you so much. Thanks.
So in defense of UAE national employees, because there are challenges with the workforce, especially when that workforce is they don't have any experience, they don't have any benchmarks, what professionalism looks like. So, in their defense, what kind of mechanisms do you have in place for open communication and regular feedback from UAE national employees?
What we have done in our organization, we have kept an open door policy. So generally, as an HR director, I'm the first one for them to approach, and I make sure the matters which they raise are escalated to the senior level, and we even if we are not able to sort out their matters, at least we have a clear conversation with them, and we explain them why we are not able to do that. I think that is the one of the thing which has actually made a lot of difference. A clear communication, setting up the right expectation, and ensuring that our leadership is in line with with us. And leadership understands that these are the nationals which we do understand we have challenges, but if you deal with them correctly, because right now, honestly, I have a visa officer in my office who is Emirati national. However, she works from home on Fridays, but her working ethics have been great. She works like, sometimes even I call her at 5 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the night, and she's always available. So I think working with them only is to ensure that you gain their confidence and explain them how work ethics are important has been the biggest thing for us. I mean, very simple, like, you don't have to have like big programs, and we have very simple stuff, but those simple stuffs have worked for us.
Yeah, I would echo that, but we definitely have a more structured approach towards how we manage, again, not specific Emiratis, but every colleague or graduate coming into the organization. So we have a very, detailed onboarding, wherein a lot of emphasis is there, where we assign a buddy to every Emirati graduate who is joining. Ideally, for a Emirati, it would be another Emirati who is actually more experienced and more senior in the ladder. So they are able to share and also help them manage the nitty-gritties of how office and professionalism works in the organization. What is the Mott McDonald way of doing things, etc. So there is the buddy system which we follow. There is also a very structured induction which HR is clearly involved, wherein we go through about the culture of the organization, the pride values, what is the Mott McDonald way of doing things. So that is a proper induction is done. You have also regular, and when the Emiratis come in, there is senior leadership, which is the divisional general manager and the unit general manager, having a group kind of session with the Emiratis, so that they understand and they get that opportunity to interact with very senior levels of management, because that also is sometimes a feeling where they feel, oh, I don't have, but then you have an audience with such an important person in the organization, you feel, oh, I've done something. At that level, those small things also mean a lot. So that is something which we actively do. And then buddies, as I said, we have that. And as a group, we have regular, every quarter we have town halls wherein the senior leadership and various focus groups where they will be talking about the projects that we are currently working upon, and there will be a spotlight on a specific function. And that at that meeting and that town hall, it's a very interactive session where every colleague, including Emiratis, are encouraged to ask any question. There is no such thing as a silly question. You can ask your questions, you can speak about whatever you feel, your comments about certain policies which have been rolled out, etc. So that is there. But more importantly, from a HR angle, what we do is connected conversations. We have connected conversation as our professional development and employee management system, wherein we encourage every line manager to have regular, either formal or informal conversations with their employee, because it's more about building that line of communication with the people. So that is something which we encourage, and as a minimum per quarter, at least one check-in has to be recorded in the HR systems to kind of confirm that yes, both individual as well as the colleague as well as the line manager have to give their comments about what is the period which has gone by, what has done well, what has not worked well. So this gives us real life situations where we can understand if there are some challenges there, or if not, what needs to be done to manage those better. So quite a few programs there to ensure regular interactions with our colleagues. not just Emiratis. It's for everybody.
I have raised a recommendation to Muhri and to Nafis if they would introduce a retention bonus. So if you spend, for example, 6 months in this entity, by the end of the 6 months, you will receive, for example, an extra money on your Nafis allowances. That was only a recommendation based on my observation. These young generation are driven by salary. So they are not aware about your goal and objective and long terms. They are looking how much I will be receiving by end of this month. So I raised this as a recommendation to Mori, and I think if other stakeholders like us will raise the same concern that let's put a retention bonus. So we are doing, for example, our annual review and our annual appraisal for them, but we don't have something called retention allowances or retention bonus that we can give to Emirati, because it is not fair also for non-national. So yes, I raised it to Nafis. I told them, Ya Jama'a, put the system in ground, put a retention bonus. If he spends 6 months in the same entity, he will receive this amount of money. If he spends 1 year on the same entity, he will receive this amount of money. By this mechanism, we will reduce the jumping from one organization to another, and this individual will have the time to learn. We will face difficulty. It's not nice once you are facing a difficulty, you will jump to other employer. You are not learning. So how you will make this? By giving them, encouragement or the carrot that they will be running after, which is a retention bonus that I suggested. I think it's also wise that we raise also from your end this recommendation, because I think projects are near to close, and we don't know when this project will close, and by the end of 2026, what will be the direction of the government. So there might put all the burden of the financial cost on us, which is a huge amount of money, or they will pay, for example, a minimum wage. So we have to raise our concern or recommendation, because we are in ground. We are knowing what is currently happening in ground. This individual, they are putting a rule and regulation without, getting back to the people who will be impacted by this rule and regulation. So I would recommend this strongly. And if there is, for example, any event, any auditor who are coming to you to audit the Emiratization, share your concern. We are a government that are open to suggestion, and we are open to all companies to come and invest. It is a good tool and a good approach that you raise your concerns and show them that we are an open hand and open door policy where we can invest on this Emirati, but help us to sustain this workforce at least for a year. So we can learn from them and they can learn from us.
I think on that line, I would say we should also have, while we are incentivizing long term, maybe we should also, give the government is actually contributing to their pension, right? So there should be some negative impact to their monetary benefits if they are going out of the organization due to disciplinary actions like non-attendance. There should be some, because as you said rightly, it is at the end of the day money that is driving the current generation. So unless there is an impact to that, they definitely are not going to learn the lessons, is what I'm saying. So if there is a negative cantonment to a particular thing, maybe we should look at both the positive and the negative impact. So then that might create some stir in that team. That's what I believe.
Okay. What about, the metrics? Do you have any metrics in place to manage your retention strategies for Emiratis or in general? And how do you measure, what are the reasons for people leaving the job? Do you have, I know there are...
So, for me, as I said...
Most of the times those exit interviews are pen on paper.
Yeah. So for me, I can definitely say... I can definitely say that the attrition rate is high in terms of the nationals, mainly because of this, as I said, their allurement to the government sector. And the minute we find that we are putting them on a performance improvement plan, and where it is documented about their challenge areas, etc., they know that the writing is on the wall and they will immediately jump. So yes, it is, as an organization wide, while we do not have much of a challenge with overall attrition rates, in the last 2 years, I have seen a higher. Last year, for example, I had more than 12 leavers in the Mott McDonald business from the Emirati population, which is very high considering the number of people that we are having as nationals. So it is definitely high. Overall, as you say, exit interviews, most of the cases, as I mentioned earlier, it's mainly related to where they are required to be on a specific site, come into office regular hours. They do not, because they join the organization thinking I will be only working so many hours, I have flexibility. So which is the USP of Mott McDonald. They kind of turn it the other way around to say, oh, I'm not going to be coming to office. So then it becomes a case of managing. So attendance is one of the biggest challenges which is we are facing. And when they see that it is not coming out the way they had anticipated, I can sit at home and I will be able to get my salary on a month-to-month basis without actually, coming into office, etc. Where we do encourage, it's not that we don't, but that sometimes is a deterring factor causing. Another being the allure of going into a governmental entity. That are the two main reasons from the exit interviews which we have noticed for the reasons for attrition for people leaving the organization. We are. And in terms of long-term strategies, as I said, this needs some more work and understanding. And I take inspiration from Dr. Tahini's point where you said incentivizing someone who is staying in longer. At the same time, I will also put in a recommendation that there should be a negative connotation which is authorized by the government for someone with disciplinary or non-compliance to certain government regulated requirements. So this could be some strategy, but it's still too young. We have not yet given that focus group in terms of understanding what that retention strategy for the Emirati nationals should look like.
Okay.
Do we have time, Danish,
Yes,
or
yes,
are we
please.
running? We do.
No, that's fine.
Quick one. In terms of our retention, I had around 8% last year, where Emiratis are leaving, but they're not leaving because of performance issues. They left because of better opportunity, better title. As you know, Emiratis are also driven by titles, and sometimes working for multinational organizations, especially within the consultancy and engineering, like yourself, Geeta, you need to reach a certain level of maturity, expertise, and experience to be a manager, head of section, and etc. So for someone with 2 years, fresh graduate with 2 years on and off experience, aiming for titles, etc., it's not always the case. For instance, my levers when I had my exit interviews, it was just a better title and better package, as I said. But in terms of the retention strategies, what we have in place, and one of the feedback that I always receive from Emiratis is the culture that we have in the company, which doesn't have the hierarchy. Like they can go freely talk to the most senior person in the organization. There is no hierarchy in terms of I have to go through different layers and levels to reach. That they appreciate, that they have the right and direct access to the most senior manager, having sitting next, having lunch together or taking selfies together. So even for us as organization, if we have that open door policy where everyone is equal, and they have access to the most senior people in the organization, they feel appreciated, they feel valued. We run Peakon surveys, it's fully anonymous if they have any feedback, and we measure and monitor the line managers units based on the feedback and comments and rating, and this we do every quarter. And in my team, I lead Emiratization, and I have Emiratis in my team as well, who are the points of contact for all Emiratis. They will come with their comments and concerns to that lady as a mum, or they call it like Umi, to talk about their concerns and issues, because they feel confident, they feel comfortable to talk to her, and then she will, move the information around to talk here and there. So just be open and be transparent, regardless if you're Emirati or non-Emirati personnel.
If you would allow me just to close this by for us, the reason number one for attrition is when they submit their resignation for a better opportunity, and this will increase in May. and November. Because why? Everybody now are looking to close their target. So I am always expecting that my resignation will be increased during May and November. That's why I will be ready with a replacement, because I know that we will be monitored closely by Muhri at that time. When we sit with them, sometimes they will be leaving you for a 500 dirham difference or 1000 dirham difference. If you try to retain them, no, خلاص, it is a better opportunity, it's a better, even if you are trying to convince them that we can look to your compensation when it is time for your appraisal to be reviewed. No, I changed my mind, I'm submitting my resignation, you have my notice period, and I'm leaving. So, but if I will talk also about another arm of it, when we are looking to the number of termination that we are also putting in ground, as Gita said, 99% of the termination are because of their attendance. We need physical attendance, we need punctuality, and we need ethic at the healthcare sector. So most of the cases will be terminated either for attendance, punctuality, or ethics. And I would say that is 50%. Other 50% are personal reason, and most of it are compensation or a better opportunity where they are seeking another employment.
Okay, great. I think we've already passed the 1 hour mark. Suggestions in this discussion. So thank you very much for all the suggestions, from having a point of contact, which is a Emirati person probably, and I think that strategy that Fiza suggested, from having a person who they call Ummi, is something that will really work for fresh graduates, right? It might not work for senior Emiratis, right? But it's a very good suggestion, from having a buddy system, from having retention bonuses that Dr. Tahani suggested, and information and suggestions in this discussion. So I want to thank all of you for joining us, and inshallah we'll try to have these webinars, these open roundtable discussions regularly, so people can gain insights from your experience, from your industry, and try to implement them within their organizations. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful 2025. It's a lot of challenges ahead. I'm sure we're going to overcome them.
Thank you, Danish, for organizing this. Thank you for organizing. I think my suggestion, Danish, would be having a community for all the HR with regards to this. Having this as a community for us would be really beneficial in terms of, just collaborations across ideas, brainstorming ideas, and also discussing challenges. I felt very privileged to be part of this network. Thank you so much, Danish, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.